Welcome back to Not Enough Projects. Today we've got a new one. Surprise, surprise. Let me bring you around, show you what we've got, and tell you what the plans are. Alright, so this is a 1990 Ford F Super Duty. It's got the 7.3 naturally aspirated IDI. Bit of a dog, but you know, she'll run forever. We'll come around to the maintenance and I'll let you guys know what we're going to be doing on this thing here pretty quick. It's got newer tires all the way around. Pretty much not used at all. Body's a little banged up, but it's a work truck, and that's what it's still going to be. We got a 5-speed manual. I think it's a ZF5. Got a new boom boom head unit. Pop this off. It goes right there. It's got cruise, but other than that, she's you know, bare minimum options. Odometer's a 5-digit. It says 76,000. I'm guessing that's many 176,000. So that's kind of an unknown. The speedo is broken. That's something we're gonna have to fix. Seat's not in bad shape. Manual windows, manual locks, no AC. So I'll let you guys know what we're doing on that here soon. I did find this under the hood. It's the original build sheet. This has got the Dana 80 rear end with a 513 axle, I believe. So this is not a highway rig. She'll do, you know, low 70s max, but she'll haul. Look, we've got good overhaul springs. It's a dually, obviously, not overhaul, overload springs. I gotta look at what the GVWR is, but we got a real heavy-duty axle. It's a dual tank. Obviously, it's a flatbed. Did come with a whole bunch of new parts. We've got new tie rods, fuel tank strainer. I'll let you guys know why we got that. We got coolant additive, clutch, linkage. Let you guys in on that in just a second. New glow plugs, more steering parts. We got a fuel pump black off plate, tie rods, window regulators, lift pump, electric lift pump. I don't know if we're gonna be putting that in. Did pick up a new rear tank because this has got a plastic rear tank and apparently it's delaminating on the inside, so it's clogging up fuel filters and stuff. So we'll drop the tank, put in our new steel one. It does have a new 3-inch exhaust, I believe it is, all the way back. I think it's straight pipe, but it's really not that loud. We do need to put in a new mud flap. Got some oil and everything, a couple toolboxes. Let me see if there's any parts in here actually. Doesn't look like we got anything exciting in here. Did score a nice little press 1/4-inch brake bar. Sweet. Frame is solid. Cab's got a little bit of service rust. It's beat up like I said before, but you know, honestly it's not in bad shape for what we need it to be. Like I said, surprisingly the seat is in great shape. I don't know if it's been swapped out. We're just taking care of it, but not bad at all. Alright, let me key into the plan on this thing. So obviously I showed you all the new parts it comes with. That means it's got some issues and we needed to order a few more parts as well. This thing is a little hard starting. We have some air intrusion into the injectors. It actually is leaking diesel on top of the engine. Let's take a look at that in just a second. The plan with this thing is I'm actually going to be driving it down to Texas from Boise basically. Because my dad, who owns some property down in Texas, needs a work truck, and apparently good trucks for good prices are hard to find down there, so we picked one up here that doesn't need a ton of work, and I'm going to drive it down here pretty soon after we address this list. So let's go through and see what we got to do. So like I said, the injectors are leaking. We're going to do fuel filter, air filter, oil change, obviously. We're going to want to fix the speedo. We're going to fix the rear tank. Obviously that clutch linkage needs fixed. The clutch doesn't quite disengage all the way. It's good enough to drive. It doesn't quite want to downshift in a second. I don't know if that's worn synchros or if the clutch is still grabbing just a tiny bit too much. We do have an axle seal leaking on the inner tire of the driver's side rear. Here's the axle leak. You can see that wetness on the tire. That is axle diff fluid, gear oil here. We do have a coolant leak coming out the water outlet. Cruise control is not working. That'd be nice to have. AC, that's pretty much a must down there. And honestly, up here in the summer, it's pretty dang hot. I think it's almost 100 outside right now. So we may be looking into fitting a factory system onto this. We'll see what we can find at the junkyard. Front suspension, the steering is a little bit vague. Let's unlock the steering and see how she is. Yeah. It's drivable. It's just not the most fun. It's not the worst. So we've got the tie rods and idler arms and whatever else we need. For that, we're going to do the glow plugs just as a maintenance item because we got them. I don't know if the window regulators really need replaced. We are missing the crank on this one. The other side works, I believe, but we'll look at it. He threw in a facet lift pump. I don't know if we're going to put that in. We got the mechanical one on the IDI still working fine. And finally, I think we're going to remove at least one of the boxes and sell them. So this is everything that I've noticed that we need to fix before taking on a, what is it, 1,500 mile, I don't know, road trip. This is not going to be the most fun road trip rig, but she should do it. I am curious. I haven't looked at the exact GVWR for this thing. Let's see. Front, rear, there we go. 11,000 pounds. So she'll haul everything we need it to. So like I said, when we drove it up here, it was about an hour and a half away. It drove that distance no problem. Made it without issues. It was leaking some diesel. You can maybe see some wetness down in there. I believe the injectors are leaking. Now it has been sitting for about a week since it was last started. So maybe we'll try starting it up. See how hard it is. It might need a whiff of ether to pop off. So let's give her a go. Alrighty, cold start. Wow, started up. I was not expecting it to just pop off like that after it's been sitting so long. Battery gauge doesn't work. That's another thing I'll throw on the list. I kind of forgot about it. You can see we're shaking pretty decently. This is honestly the first diesel I've really done much work on. So not super familiar with them. I mean, obviously I understand all the principles and everything, so. It is a little rough at idle. I think this is rougher than it's supposed to be, probably because of the leak in injectors. So, you can see it clears up with some RPMs. It drove no problem. Drove pretty good, actually. Here's our coolant leak. Oh. I was wrong. It's not the water outlet, although it may be weeping a little bit. Looks like the rad's leaking. You guys see that? Straight axle, unlike the other Fords of this era. Most of the pickups have independent front suspension unless they're 4x4, which this one obviously is not. But it's got a straight axle, which is kind of interesting. So yep, we got a leaking radiator that I did not notice until now, so that's one thing we'll be doing, because I don't want to fight that all the way. Not a big deal. Little vacuum line here for the recirc, I believe that is. Actually, the exact same line on my 94 F-150 rotted out. I had to fix that. Must be a pretty common problem. Let me show you guys how low first is. Yeah, window goes up and down, no problem. That's a little weird. Might have a vacuum leak for the brake. It was not doing that before. Let's check the fluid. It's up at max. There is a little bit of wetness, so we'll look into that. But for now, we'll just ignore that. We'll address it later. Alright, here's first. Auto shut hood. It's pretty low, safe to say. It is really interesting how the brake is making that noise. It was not doing that before. Alright, whatever. Just another thing to check. I mean, it starts in second, no problem. I'm sure it'll even start in third. It doesn't like that a whole lot. Alright, enough dinking around. Let's get started on the main, biggest problem, which is probably the injectors leaking. Found the leaky injector. Alright, you guys saw the leaky injector, so let's start tearing everything off so we can get access to all of them. Could do with replacing. Good thing we got a new one. Let's get a rag to cover that. So we're just undoing the line nuts. These lines going in between are return lines. We do have everything to replace them, so we're going to go ahead and do that as well. Hopefully these are going to come out easy for us. Sometimes they get kind of stuck in there from what I've heard. These are 1 inch and these are 5/8. Alright, I'm getting the hammer. There we go. You know what, before I take it all the way down, I'm going to grab the air compressor and just give a good blow around all of them. We don't want to be getting any crud into the combustion chambers. Alright, everyone hold your breath. We're also going to do the glow plugs while we're in here because we got new ones. Came out nice and easy. Let's go grab our new ones and see what they're looking like. Alright, here's one of our new injectors. I believe these are standard branded injectors off Rock Auto. I think these are new too. They look to be good. I mean, they're not pressure matched to each other, which is desirable, but I mean, everything that had a pretty big lead time, so this is what we've got. It's going to be better than what was in there. We're going to need to make sure that copper washer came out with the old one, which it did not, so we're going to need to pick that out of the injector bore. And then we've also got the injector return line kit. Comes with the return line. These hats that have the return lines attached. And a whole bunch of seals and clamps, which these seals came on the injectors, so those are just going to be extras. Let's grab a light and see what we're looking like down there. Looks like we've got a little bit of cleaning to do. And there's our seal I was talking about. But it wasn't leaking much exhaust gas up into here, because if that happens, you'll see tons of carbon and crap in this. So, and I think a lot of that is copper anti-seize. I can't tell if it's rust or the copper anti-seize, but regardless, it looks pretty decent. There's our old copper washer. Alright, let's also pop out the glow plug. It's this little guy that sits right here. If it'll focus. There it goes. So we'll just pop off the connector, and it's a 3/8 deep socket, I believe, to get it out. Now, hopefully none of these have swelled, and they should just come out easy. You can see some of the carbon buildup on there. Looks like these are Motorcrafts. You can see the Beirut, Germany. We have new Motorcrafts to go in it, so. Alright, that bore isn't very dirty, but we're going to do our best to clean it out. A rifle brush works well for this kind of thing, but I only have metal white rifle brushes. Looks like we got a little bit of carbon down there to take care of. You see, to clean it out, you can blow air through the glow plug hole, and it'll blow all the crap out of the injector once you kind of free it up. Okay. I think we're looking pretty good. So now we'll get our new injector, make sure our seal is in place. You see it is. I'm going to put some anti-seize on here. That's more than enough. Okay, now we'll take the cap off there. Make sure not to hit the pin tile on anything. I believe the torque spec's about 30 foot-pounds. We're just going to go with the arm torque wrench. Same idea, I'm going to put a little bit on the threads. Alright, we'll wait to get the return caps on, and then we'll snuggle the lines up after we've them all squared away. So, I mean, now that you get the basic idea, I'm just going to go through, do all of them. The other passenger side is a little bit more tight. That's about the only thing to be aware of. There's water in there. No, it's not bad. Okay, so, I mean, the rest is just the same as before, so I'm going to do that 3-4 more times. Alright, we've got all the injectors in along with the glow plugs, and those are hooked back up. Now we need to take care of the return lines. Now, the injector kit did come with these return fittings. They're a little bit different than the other style. I think we had early style caps on, and these are later style. It does not look like it came with a deadhead connection for this one, which is how the factory routing seemed to be. So I don't know if we're going to need to reuse that, or if we'll come up with some other kind of routing. So yeah, I'm going to grab some engine oil so that we can coat the O-rings, and then we'll start popping those on. Alright, we've got the return caps and all the injectors. Now, like I said before, this kit came with a later style. I think it was like 92 up or something like that, where this injector cap has a T. Now, from the factory, this came with the deadhead, where it just had the one that goes into this. The later style IDIs have a different return routing. And now, the return routing is not really critical from my understanding. It's really just a low pressure return back to the tank. I mean, it's a return after all. So you can route it pretty much however you want. How I'm going to do it is I'm going to mostly retain the factory routing. So we'll keep the line from the fuel filter that comes down to this injector, but we are going to T from this line into the top of the T. One side of the T will go into this one, and then the other side of the T will go over here. And then, other than that, it's going to be stock. So we'll just go between each injector up to the corners. We're going to replace that line that goes under the intake over there, up there, and back over here. So, really not too complicated. I'm just going to cut the lines, throw the clamps on there, get them on, and I'll show you guys how I have it set up. Alright, now we should have our return situation sorted out. Obviously, we've just got the links between injectors. Up front, I have the 1/4 inch line coming over to a T, going over to the other bank of injectors, and then from the T, I have it going to the fuel filter. Now, a lot of people do delete this line. I'm just retaining it because I can. This is supposed to be a check valve, and apparently with age, the check valve can stick and cause air to get into the return line. We'll leave it. We can always, block it off later and delete the T if we need to. And then back here, it's just the standard routing of this line goes under, over to this fitting, which goes over to the other injector, which I did have to use 3/16 line because all the barbs on the existing return line are 3/16. Luckily, you can, kind of finagle it onto the 1/4 inch barbs for the injectors. So we'll see how that does. Now we just need to hook up all of the injector fittings. We'll just make sure that the flares are clean, and then we'll torque them down. I believe the spec is like 15 foot-pounds, so I mean, I'm not gonna use a torque wrench, but not that tight, just tight enough. Then we'll try starting it up and check for leaks. Alrighty, our lines are all tightened down. We should be good to go ahead and give it a crank. Nearly forgot we gotta actually change the fuel filter slash water separator, whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and take this old one off. Looks like it's a wick, so at least they put a good filter on. Strap wrench time. Looks like diesel in here. Now I am remembering our injectors came with some test strips, so just for kicks and giggles, let's dip one in here and see how she does. We're supposed to do it in the tank, but I mean we got 8 of these, so we can do whatever the heck we want. So we just swab it in here. And I guess we just wait 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes. And you can see the tip turning white there, or blue I guess. So, I mean it makes sense because the water all settles at the bottom. Because I touched the tip to the bottom, is what I'm saying. Alright, I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back here in just a second. Alright, it's been a couple minutes. See, our diesel's fresh, which makes sense because we just filled it up. And there's water on the tip because I dipped it all the way to the bottom of the separator. So, should be good to go there. Let's grab our new filter, fill it up with some diesel. Here's our new filter, got an AC Delco. It's a little bit different from this one. I think it just drops the water straight out. This one, there's like a reservoir that you actually drain out manually, so. Oh wait, I am not sure. Let's see. I forgot to mention earlier that extension piece on the #1 injector that I was confused about earlier, and I'm sure any IDI guys were probably freaking out. It is for the factory timing procedure. You put the pickup on there, and it detects the fuel pulses so that you can time the injection pump. So we put that back on. Okay, so it turns out the factory IDI came with the 2-piece fuel filter, so there was a bowl that screws on the bottom here, and we had a 1-piece in here that eliminates the lower part of the fuel bowl. I don't have the fuel bowl, so I don't know how easy it is to get, so we're gonna need to either go get a 1-piece fuel filter or reuse this one, which I don't want to do. But it actually looks okay-ish. Not that you can really tell by looks, but yeah. Alright, so it's not my favorite, but I'm not going to be able to get the part we need for that filter, so we're going to use this just temporarily. So let's get it back on there, and then we can try getting the injectors bled. Alright, so more than likely this is going to take a lot of cranking before it pops off. So we're going to crank for about 10 seconds, then we'll let it sit for about 30 to cool the starter off. Okay. Wait another 30. Let's check for leaks actually real quick. Just anything obvious? I don't see any wetness or anything, so gonna give her another crank. It almost popped off there. Might do it this go around. Okay. Give her another 30 seconds. Check for leaks again. Don't see anything immediately obvious. Alright. Alright, let's go look for leaks. I can already tell you it's running way smoother. Remember before, I mean, it was ratting your fillings out of your teeth inside the cab, and now it's really smooth actually. Oh yeah, it's running way better. RPM gauge is not working. That's interesting. I don't know if I unplugged something. I don't know. Oh yeah, the throttle response is way better. Man, that is a big difference. Okay, we're gonna let it idle for just a little bit and work the air out of the system. Whew, nice. Yeah, I can't believe how much of a difference that is. Well, I guess I have to, because, you know, seeing it all. One thing I did notice that I forgot to show you guys, let's see if I can find the injector. Well, here's a standard injector. You can see that pin tile sticking out, nice and pointy. So not only did we have cylinder number 1 leaking really bad, this one, I think this was cylinder, I forget which one, but you see that pin tile is broken. So we're probably missing on like 2 cylinders. No wonder it's running so rough. Looks like we need to tighten up a belt. Got the radiator dripping away. Wow, that's a big difference. So let's see how it starts back up. Starts up way quicker now. Right now. Well, sweet. Let's let it sit for a little bit and see how it starts up after sitting for, I don't know, an hour, something like that. And then we will move on. Go ahead to crank for a while, but I mean, we could still be working air out of the system. We only just put the injectors in and we haven't even driven on the road. So maybe we will clear everything off and take it out for a quick drive and just see how it does with the new injectors. Alright, let's throw our intake and new filter in. The RPM gauge worked on the way up. Alrighty, back from the drive. Let's check for any leaks. Fuel leaks. Everything is very hot right now. We're looking good on injector 1. That's what was leaking before. And I think we're looking good all the way back on that bank. This bank. Don't see anything yet. Let's see how many places I can burn myself. See a little bit of wetness back there. I think that is lube from when I installed it. I think I tasted it earlier and it was not diesel. Yeah, the injector's looking okay. Cool. I am happy with that. So we can go ahead and mark the injectors off the list for now. We will restart it here in a little while, see how easy it is to start back up, see if we worked any air pockets out. Alright, I did okay on the test drive. It actually felt way better than it did before. So that is good. Let's go ahead and adjust our list. Alright, so we've got the injectors done. Air filter's done. Fuel filter is not done because I gotta get a new one probably. Let's see, did we do anything else? Oh yeah, we did the glow plugs. Let's see. Probably got time for one more thing, maybe a couple if we do a small one. Maybe we'll do oil change. That's just gonna be quick. And clutch. Let's look at the clutch. Because why not? We also do need to add the radiator. Because we found out that's leaking. Okay, oil change, clutch. Let's get to it. Alright, let's start off with the easy one, oil change. Alright, that's gonna take a while to drain. Who'd have guessed things are slippery when they're oily? Looks like it has a magnetic drain plug, and it looks like it did pick up a touch of shmoo, but I'm not really that concerned. It's not anything horrible. It's only a couple little pieces. Could be anything. Alrighty, we've got a Wix oil filter. We're gonna fill it up because we can. It's pretty much a vertical filter, so it's not gonna all run out. We won't fill it up quite all the way, but I'm using Motorcraft 1540 diesel because it was the cheapest on Rock Auto. That was still good diesel oil. Alright, let's get that up and in, put the drain plug back in, and we'll fill her up. Alright, I believe the oil capacity on this thing is 10-ish quarts, so we'll give her 10 and check. Which we already have 1 in the filter, so. Just a little below the full mark, so since I didn't fill the filter up quite all the way, I'll add a little bit more in, and then we'll see where we are. Alright, should be good. Let's start her up. We'll also see how she does after sitting for a while, because it's been, I don't know, a day, overnight, so. No leaks, that's good. And the oil pressure gauge, which is actually just a switch, at least in the gas motors, says normal, so that's good. So I think we're good there. We'll let her warm up just a little bit. I don't want to get it too warm because I'm going to work on the clutch here soon, so I don't know if we're going to have to get under to address that. We'll see. But man, yeah, it runs so much smoother than before. Yeah, I'm going to restart it. I noticed something weird. Look, the RPM gauge works, kind of-ish, and then it stops. Oh, I gotta add that to the list, so. But let's shut it off, we'll check the oil level, turn off the music. So we also got the tach, and I did notice the parking brake needs adjusted. So, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's okay. We'll get it all sorted. Alright, we made a lot of progress today. We got the injectors and the oil change done. The new injectors are probably the biggest difference to the running condition of this engine. Pretty happy with how that turned out. We got a ton more to get done on this thing, so we're going to keep charging ahead. So I'll see you guys next time.